This is Joe narrating a PowerPoint. It's lesson 3 in life science, human body systems. This can be found on page 512 in the Kaplan book. The key ideas are that your body is made of different organ systems, each organ system comprised of organs. The systems discussed will be the circulatory system, which conducts blood around the body, the respiratory system, which brings oxygen into the body and gets rid of carbon dioxide, the digestive system, which breaks down food and helps us absorb the nutrients in that food, and the nervous system that quickly coordinates bodily activities. As mentioned in a prior PowerPoint, all of life can be broken down into different levels or hierarchies. For example, atoms form molecules which form organelles, the structures in cells like the mitochondria and the nucleus. The cells are formed into tissues which then are formed into organs and organ systems like the systems we will discuss. These organ systems make up organisms which are independent living things. These organisms form populations like the human population. Populations of different organisms can form communities, like we live with dogs, cats, birds, trees. These communities of organisms can form ecosystems, like a pond ecosystem or a mountain ecosystem, and the whole of all the ecosystems on Earth form the biosphere, which is the living Earth. Again, just to show the hierarchies or levels of living things, this shows subatomic particles like electrons, protons, and neutrons joining together to form an atom. These atoms are linked to form molecules. In the body, some of these molecules form macromolecules. The prefix macro means big, so these big molecules include things like DNA, proteins, fats, and storage molecules for energy. Organelles are formed within the cell, and the cells form tissues, then organs, then organ systems like the digestive system pictured here. This is a depiction of the circulatory system. The red shows the arteries, which conduct blood that has oxygen away from the heart to the tissues, and the blue shows the veins, which take the blood that lacks oxygen back to the heart. This is a simpler diagram showing that the blood without oxygen is pumped into the heart. The right side of the heart then pumps it to the lungs where it acquires oxygen. It is pumped back to the heart, the left side, and then is pumped out to the rest of the body. This is a diagram of the heart showing the right side where blood without oxygen is taken into the heart and then pumped out to the lungs. And then the left side takes that oxygenated blood and pumps it to the rest of the body. This is a diagram of the lungs. You can see the branching structure of the air intake system. You have a big windpipe or trachea that breaks down into smaller and smaller branches like an upside down tree. Within these smaller branches, air is taken into the little sacs, and the blood is very close to these air-filled sacs in small blood system structures called capillaries. It is at this point that the blood releases carbon dioxide into the lungs and takes in oxygen from the lungs. This is a diagram of the digestive system. Food is taken into the mouth where it's mixed with saliva to begin the digestive process, and then goes into the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and then the large intestine. Some digestive organs like the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas add enzymes, which are small protein molecules that help the food to be digested. This is a diagram of the surface of the small intestine. Large organisms need to increase the surface area of many of their organs. For example, the branching upside down tree in the lungs provides more space for the blood to mix with the air. The blood vessels themselves break up into smaller and smaller tubes so that the blood can get very close to the tissues and cells that need the blood. Here's a diagram showing the increase in surface area in the small intestine. The small intestine has many folds, and each of these folds has further folding, so that blood can be brought very closely to what's inside the small intestine to pick up the nutrients within the small intestine. This is a list of digestive enzymes, which you don't have to know, but you can look at this diagram and appreciate all the things that happen in your stomach and small intestine, where most digestion is done. Enzymes are just protein molecules that, for example, break down sugars, they break down fats, they break down proteins, so that these smaller particles can be absorbed from the small intestine in those folds into the bloodstream. This is a diagram of the nervous system, which includes the three main structures, which are the brain, which is in the head, the spinal cord, which runs down your back in the spinal column, and then the nerves that leave the spinal cord and go out to every area of your body. The human brain is the major structure in the human nervous system, and your books talks about three parts: the cerebrum, which is where thinking processes are performed, the cerebellum on the lower right in yellow, which is a structure that helps with movement and balance, and the brainstem, which is next to the cerebellum. The brainstem performs functions that you don't have to think about, like breathing, and controls your heartbeat. That is all for this PowerPoint on human body systems.